You know a movie's gonna be good when people on Twitter are saying it's too woke. Also, funny enough, this movie has the same plot as Finding Nemo. So I just came back from seeing one battle after another, and it was really good. I would even go to say that this movie is gonna be an instant classic. That's right.
It's a classic. I ain't gonna say it again, it's a classic.
The reason I say this movie is gonna be a classic because the theme and the overall plot is timeless. It's also extremely politically relevant, and I think that's what's gonna make this movie a little controversial. Maybe a lot controversial. It is a lot controversial. Art most of the time is inherently political. You can't separate them, especially movies, because movies gotta have a theme, and good movies have good themes. So a good moral to the story, and when you got those, the author or the writer most of the time is trying to push their reflection of society, power structures, governments. And when I see people complain about movies are getting too woke or too political, and they say they want more entertainment, you know what I say? Movies have always been political, and I'm just tired of seeing slop that makes your brain melt when it comes out, okay? When there's movies that are truly good, it's gonna make money. For example, Sinners, Weapons. That's all the ones I can think of that came out this year. The point is, it's gonna be very hard to talk about this movie without talking about the political commentary in it. However, I'm only gonna be talking about it a little bit because to really delve into, all the political, racial messages this movie tries to push, I have to get into spoilers, but I will not be getting into spoilers because that's not how I want to do this review. So let's talk about the acting. I think the performances in this movie are some of the best we've gotten in the past decade. I think Leonardo was my favorite performance and character. He can be extremely hilarious and extremely sad, but also, somewhat kind of reflective and really pathetic. But I think the most pathetic character is, and also the funniest character, and also one of the best villains we've gotten in a very long time, is Sean Penn as Stephen Lockjaw. Holy crap, this man is one of the most pathetic human beings you're gonna ever see on screen. He tries so hard in the film over and over again to just try to gain a little bit of acknowledgement, a little bit of validation, okay? He tries so hard, and you just watch him do it over and over again to achieve this one goal, and he gets more desperate, and by the end it gets so wacky, and I think his character is hilarious. Yeah. Teyana Taylor steals the show in like the first 30 minutes, and then Chase Infinity is also absolutely incredible in the movie. Her as the daughter, for a child actress, and like for her first role, I think she's absolutely incredible. Like, she had me stressing. Like, her performance had me stressing. That's how good she was acting, okay? Even though Leonardo is my favorite performance and character, I think Chase Infinity had the best performance by the end of the movie. Now let's talk about the style. Oh my goodness, this movie has the sauce. There's so many different types of ways this movie uses its camera. It kind of feels like it was made by a bunch of different directors, but I think that's kind of a good thing because it kept me really engaged with the action and some of the more intimate scenes. Like, you got some wide shots, you have close-up shots, you have a freaking camera that was attached to a car door when it shut. I thought that was pretty neat. And it just makes the movie have its own personality. And it's paired with this absolutely amazing score, but the score also kind of feels out of place. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I love it during the action scenes, but it doesn't sound like an action score, if you know what I'm saying. But I really enjoyed it, but I don't know if other people will. The one issue I did hear about this movie was that it was really poorly edited. I think I heard somebody say that. This movie isn't poorly edited, by the way. A poorly edited movie is when there's like a bunch of cuts and you can't follow it. There's a bunch of cuts, but you can follow it. And it just makes the movie fast paced, especially in the first like third of the movie. This movie zooms, and this movie also runs 2 hours and 40 minutes, and you kind of feel that. I felt that by the end. I think the beginning of the movie is extremely fast paced, and then once you get to the climax and the conclusion, the shots get longer. There's not that many cuts, so it's gonna feel longer. I feel like they could have trimmed a couple minutes off because there are some scenes that I feel like were somewhat unnecessary, but it only adds on to some of the characters. But yeah, I think, the movie, kind of drags at the end. I felt it dragging. but I don't think the pacing is bad. I think the pacing is pretty good for an almost 3-hour movie, okay? If you do see this movie, I recommend you see it in like an actual IMAX theater or my favorite Dolby Cinema. My local theater has like only basic 70 millimeter, so when I watched it, I could tell that I was missing out on most of the shots.
Dude, like, oh my God, like, can we talk about like the political and economic state of the world right now?
Fine, Jaden Smith, I'll talk about the political and economic state of the world. God dang, bro. Okay, so this is where I'm gonna get a little bit political because I can't really talk about the themes and messaging without getting a little bit political. You know, you watched the beginning. I had a whole spiel. The movie overall is about the resistance and fight against oppressive powers. It's a theme that can be seen in the past, probably will be seen in the future, and you can pretty much see it right now. The hate I see being put on this movie is people saying like, oh, it's glorifying political leftist violence and it's demonizing the right, which I think is a really odd thing to say because the right demonizes marginalized and minority groups already, but what do I know? The thing is, if you're looking at the movie and you're getting mad because you see a lot of yourself in the bad guys, that might be a point of reflection, you know? But what do I know? I also find it funny when people say, it's like, oh, it makes fun of both sides. Yeah, one side at most you're getting cringy, and the other side you're getting, yeah, we're gonna unalive minorities, and interracial marriage is not a good thing. Anywho, that's enough politics for today, but remember, movies are very political. Overall, this movie is my second favorite movie of the year. Right behind Sinners, of course. I don't think this movie lost my attention once. From when the movie starts and from the movie ends, I was completely invested in the story, with the characters, everything. I think it can be extremely fun, extremely emotional, and extremely tense. I highly recommend the movie if you have, 3 hours to spare and don't get politically offended that easily to go see this movie in theaters. So, I'm going to give One Battle After Another a 9.5 out of 10.